Jonathan. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, my friend. Nice to meet you. I'm just gonna put us live, and
Yeah, okay.
we should be ready to go in a second.
I was wondering how I would start pitching. I didn't see a button, so I'm glad I got your notification.
The way it works is that investors contact you when they're ready to speak to you.
Okay.
We schedule those. So, okay. All right. Well, I think we're good to go. Yeah. So, what I understand from, well, I tell you what. Why don't we do it this way? Why don't we? Do you have an intro that you normally give out?
Yeah, sure. I can introduce ChainTrade. So basically, ChainTrade is the first blockchain-based platform to trade commodity derivatives, to trade food and raw materials. So today, this trade is centralized on exchanges like Chicago, Eurex, Hong Kong. There are just a few in the world. They charge very high fees. They make huge profits. It's reserved to institutional investors, to the big banks, big traders. What we want to do and what we're doing at the moment is to decentralize this trade of food and raw materials to the blockchain, make it much cheaper. We will cut the fees by more than half. We will make it accessible to anyone, small traders, big traders, small food producers, etc., in order to ensure a more equal access to those resources.
Okay, cool. Well, that sounds like it reminds me of something like what some people are talking about, for example, backing Bitcoin or like some kind of crypto asset with gold or something, which I think is, in that case, not necessary, but it's a similar thing, right? It's like a token representing real.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not really the same. Huh? So here, it's really a trading platform. So what you token holders will do is use the token to buy futures and options, which are replaced by smart contracts. So a smart contract can plan for the delivery, let's say, of 1 ton of corn in August 2018 in Hanover port. So someone wants to sell corn, someone wants to buy corn, and there is an actual delivery of this corn at the end of the period. It can be gold as well for delivery in 3 months from now, because the gold is being mined at the moment. It can be oil, delivery of oil next November, next December, etc. So it's the token does not represent gold or oil. It allows to trade between a buyer and a seller of those goods.
Okay, and okay, that makes sense. So you guys, which parts are you guys doing? It sounds like you're doing the exchange. You're building.
Yep.
Is that going to be a DApp? Or
yes, exactly. That's a DApp. Huh? So the current futures and options that exist in these type of exchanges are replaced by smart contracts on the blockchain. We chose to put it on the Ethereum network.
That's gonna be my next question.
The whole order book will be public on the public ledger. The matching between the orders also will be public. So hence the equality of access. There is no question of collocated servers to get faster orders executed, etc. So everyone is at the same level. And the blockchain technology basically will allow us to compete and challenge these big guys that have been for decades making profit because they almost have a monopoly.
It's a very cool idea. So who is so you are controlling the assignment of the smart contract. You're creating the smart contracts.
Yes.
For, say, someone wants to sell, I don't know, corn or whatever. They come to you and you make that contract for them, right? Not there.
Yeah, exactly. So anyone can make the contract, but we'll provide an interface to make it easily. So by just setting a few parameters, what type of product, what date, what price, etc., the smart contract will be created automatically.
Okay, and what's the function of the smart contract exactly? Is there some kind of deposit or something that's fulfill the terms, does the contract execute a payment to someone, or
so there is the payment function, of course, at the end of the expiry of the contract. But the smart contract codes represents the future delivery of a product, and it's coded instead of being in books or on paper. It's coded on the blockchain, and it's automatically acting and taking into account the orders. So the smart contract can be exchanged. There is a transfer of parts of the. Yeah. So I was saying that the smart contract is embedding the parameters for the trade, and then exercises all the order matching, the payment at delivery of the products upon the expiry of the term.
Right. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. So, but as far as enforcement, usually a contract has something like, in legal contract, you would have a court would be able to enforce. They could ultimately take you to jail or shoot you or whatever if you don't follow the terms of the contract. But the enforcement of a smart contract, is there any penalty for not adhering to the contract, or is it just it executes payment?
Yes. So there are three elements that are around the smart contract and that ensure proper execution. So the first item is the notion of insurer, like insurance. So there will be people or companies with a lot of net assets that will cover traders and basically ensure that traders pay. So if a trader defaults in delivering either the money or the goods, then the insurer will need to pay on its behalf. Therefore, there is no default possible because the list of insurers is kept official and public, and not anybody can be an insurer. Anybody can be a trader, but the trader needs to have a contract with an insurer and will pay a premium to the insurer or provide a collateral as a guarantee, so that the insurer will cover for him in case he doesn't deliver. The second aspect,
that's done in a they call someone up, I guess, and make the arrangements, right? Is that how that's set up?
Yeah, so that would be more online, but it can for coverage limits. It could also be there could also be a phone or even physical meetings.
Okay.
The thing is that there will be a market of insurers. So each trader will be able to pick whichever insurer he wants, and of course the insurer has to want the trader as well. So the fees will be in competition. The conditions, the terms of the insurers will be put in competition. That's a big difference with today's market, where the role of insurer is actually done by the clearing house. The clearing house ensures against a counterparty risk, except it's very centralized. It's one actor doing it for everyone on the exchange, and we want to decentralize it. That's why we don't want a clearing house anymore, and we replace it with insurers, which will instead of having one clearing house that can charge high fees because anyway anybody has to work with that one clearing house, the insurers will compete with each other to provide the best fees that they can.
Cool. Now, as far as the so one of the problems I saw mentioned in the because I've never built any kind of decentralized exchange or anything like that, but I am familiar with some of the problems because of just reading white papers and so on. It seems like you mentioned front running due to having proximity of your server to the exchange server or something like that. One of the problems I've seen, I think mentioned by Kyber or some other group, was that there is a possibility of miners front running. Is there anything that you guys have done or plan to do about that? Or is
For miners, no, there is no miners. So we will use actually the Ethereum miners because it will be on the
I actually
Ethereum
mean
blockchain.
the transactions can appear, in different orders and so on, and be processed. They can almost choose when they process each transaction, right? So miners could choose to process their own transactions above someone else's.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's indeed a big point, and we took it into account. So what we're doing is that we don't have a real-time matching of orders and of transactions, because otherwise, on the blockchain, you can never be sure on the timing with a nanosecond accuracy. So
Right.
what we are doing is fixing a quotation every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes, we aggregate the orders of the last 5 minutes, and the platform sets the price of each product, of each smart contract every 5 minutes based on all the orders. So it's not in real time, and therefore there is almost no possibility of cheating.
Excellent. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's so. Was there anything else you want to talk about on the platform? Because I was going to move to the tokens. Ask you a little bit about that.
No, maybe one last thing is that there is also the role of arbitrator. So in case of technical glitch or human error or any litigation that might happen between the players, an arbitrator is named in the smart contract from the beginning in order to settle any disputes.
Okay, that makes sense. And who would that be typically? Is that chosen by the two parties, or is that someone you would select?
So that there will be a list of allowed arbitrators, and each smart contract will be able to pick the arbitrator they want, and from the start it will say who is the arbitrator for this smart contract.
I see. Okay, and those would be lawyers or professional arbitrators or
lawyers, professional arbitrators, or professionals of the trade. Or a combination of those, because it can also be a set of 3 arbitrators, not necessarily just one.
Okay, that's cool. That's the first. I mean, I guess these people will need a UI, right? So lawyers starting to law smart contracts. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, what about the token then? So tell me about why it's valuable, how it's connected to the system. And
so the CTC token, we are issuing them now. There are 225 million tokens, and it's fixed. So the more users there will be on the platform, the more volume, the more the token will be necessary, and therefore the more it should gain in value. The token will be used to pay the fees to the platform for each transaction. So there's a small fee, fees to the insurers, and also what we call margin calls. So when the price of a future evolves, traders have to pay a margin call, which is the difference, which is the change in price. So the token will be used for all that, and will be very much required to access and use the platform.
And do you envision them logging in, and then they give you their bank details, for example, and buy a pool of tokens to get started? Is that how that works? How will you sell them? Will you expect them to buy the tokens on an exchange, or will you sell them through some sort of portal?
Yeah, on an exchange. So of course we might have our own exchange at one point to exchange tokens against Ether or Bitcoin or dollars. But for now, we stick to the existing exchanges. So there are plenty of them, and good ones. So people will be able to buy the token on Kraken or Bittrex, and then trade on our platform.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, all right, that makes a lot of sense. And will they be able to buy? I mean, I guess they'll buy whatever they need. So then they will, as they put the tokens into your platform, or as they use it to, they put it in a wallet that you guys have, I guess, on your platform.
Yeah, exactly. there will be
so that will be like a payment. It will be exhausted through use, right? It's not a whole token. Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay. And that will be the traders that do that, or all participants?
Traders, producers, industrial buyers, because ultimately you have the Danones and Kellogg's who buy agricultural products. So they are the final buyers. So I also expect them to use the platform to buy what they need, and therefore they will use the tokens to do so.
Very cool. How far along are you in development? Is this at this stage? you funding the development of these smart contracts, or have you started development?
Yeah, we have. So at the moment we have a working prototype. So it works well as a proof of concept, and now we're working on the scalable platform. That's why we're selling our tokens in a token sale to fund a stronger team and get a public beta in production by January. Next steps will also be to get a trading license from Singapore. We're based in Singapore, so we need to have a license from the MAS to be able to exercise, to operate this activity. And finally, we'll need some funds to do a lot of sales and marketing to attract the big players, the small players on the platform. So there is a lot of selling to do once the platform is live.
Very cool. And so it will operate, even though it's based in Singapore, it will operate around the world, I guess.
Yes, no, exactly. We chose Singapore because that's where we can have a license the easiest. The Singapore authorities are very business friendly, so we expect that they will be convenient in adapting the regulation if need be. But then traders from all around the world will be able to trade. Like today, a trader from Europe can trade on a US exchange and vice versa.
Cool. And what is the what are you looking to raise, and what fraction of the total tokens is that?
So most of the tokens are allocated in a token sale, 200 million out of the 225 million tokens, and we're looking to raise 35 to 40 million dollars.
Okay, cool. That's it's a lot of money, but it's not unusual for ICOs, right? It's
yeah, exactly. And that will
what's the minimum on that though? So I guess you're looking to raise that.
The minimum is $10 million. With $10 million, we can already bring the project quite far away. And so our model is a bit specific. Maybe the unsold tokens will be blocked. And we might sell them in 2018 at a new price, of course, based on the crypto exchanges at the time. But our thinking is that we can already start with a few $1 million now. I mean, we already started beginning of this year, but we can continue. And when comes the time of sales and marketing, that's when we will need new funds, so we can sell the unsold tokens at that time.
So in other words, if you can get all the funding now, great. If not, then you'll get what you can now, and then
exactly.
That makes sense. I haven't actually heard that approach before. I don't know if it's common or not, but I haven't heard it. So kudos on something quite innovative there. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so the ICO, when does that start?
So it's ongoing. Actually, it started on Monday. So we didn't do a real pre-sale. So it's more a long ICO / pre-sale. We're looking at the same time at institutional investors, investment funds, and the general public. So they can go on ChainTrade.net and buy the tokens now.
Okay, awesome. And it's for you're obviously taking Ether because you're using a smart contract to sell ERC tokens.
Yeah, exactly. But we're also accepting Bitcoin and bank transfer, and then we're converting.
So are you partnered with a specialist in ICOs? Then is that how you're doing this, or is this your own?
No. So we of course we work with a bunch of PR specialists, marketing specialists around the ICO, but basically the core is handled by our internal team. Okay,
cool. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Just my comments at this point, because I think I've spoken to a lot of people doing ICOs. This sounds like one of the more legit operations that I've heard about. So that's really cool. And it sounds like a real business. That's also really cool.
That's better. Yeah, no. So as a final thought, indeed, to your point, I think we have a real case here. a true business that works on the blockchain, and where the blockchain is really the core of the business. And then thanks to this new technology, I think we can revolutionize this market. It's a $2 trillion annual market, so it's a big one. And what I want to do is to do with commodity derivatives, with food and raw materials, what has been done with Forex 15 years ago, when Forex become, trading of foreign exchange of currencies became accessible to anyone. It is not the case of food and raw materials derivatives. I want to bring that to that field as well.
Is there anything legal stopping that? Is it, I mean, obviously you have to get licensing to do these kinds of things in different countries, but
I'd say,
what's stopping it?
Of course, there are some legal constraints, but the biggest thing is the heavy costs. There are a lot of fixed costs for these exchanges, and basically it's not profitable for them to have small traders, small transactions on the platform. With the blockchain, we can have small transactions without any cost or very variable costs.
Why is there a cost if you're doing it off blockchain? What's the problem with that?
Why is there a big cost without the blockchain, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but because of their infrastructure, so
the software
basically it's an infrastructure from the 80s. Yeah, software infrastructure, the structure of the market as well, structured around brokers. So actually it's still a very a manual system through brokers. So you have a manual intervention. So you don't have someone make a call if it's to trade $100.
That's extremely inefficient to be having
exactly
handling him.
That's not efficient.
Yeah. So is this I guess how are people going to use how are traders going to access this? Will they be doing this from Chrome with MetaMask or the Mist browser or something like that? Is that how you see people traders accessing this?
So we'll provide a client, user end client, to access the platform, both on the web and on mobile applications. So we'll have several clients, and then indeed people will be able to access the platform with other clients. So I don't know if it will be MetaMask. It should be working with MetaMask, but I was more thinking of specialized clients that visualize the contracts in a more in a nicer way, because in MetaMask it will be just raw data.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. I was just thinking along the lines of, because it seems like the industry is pretty, based on what you said about phone calls and so on, it seems like that's kind of a very archaic industry, and I just thought, wow, are they going to be jolted into the 21st century blockchain technology? Are they going to just jump on that? But if you're building them just an app that they download to deal with things, and you make it all very simple, and I don't see a problem.
Yeah, we want to make it very simple. People don't want to deal with the blockchain themselves. They need to have an interface, and then what is behind, actually, they don't really care.
Yeah.
So we provide them what needs to be there, so that they have a simple interface that works well at low cost.
That makes sense. Cool. Okay. Well, So I'm gonna go read through your white paper, and
okay.
I'm gonna sign up for news about it and follow this ICO, and I may jump in for a small amount. I don't put a huge amount into ICO investments, but I do like to dabble here and there. So I will probably dabble in this one. It's quite interesting, and it's one of the real. It sounds like a real interesting application that's needed. So awesome. Thanks for coming on and explaining this. Is there anything else you want to tell anyone who might be watching at some point?
No, I think we're good.
Cool.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Thanks, Vincent.
Have a good afternoon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.